climate change campaign has targeted the UK headquarters of oil giant Total Energies with paint on the 27th of June. They were protesting the French firm's alleged human rights violations in the construction of its oil pipeline in Uganda and Tanzania. Supporters of Just Stop Oil sprayed black paint in the interior lobby of the company's headquarters in London's Canary Wharf district. Others threw orange paint on its exterior, according to the protest group. Dozens of people from Students Against East African Crude Oil Pipeline also gathered outside the building during the stunt to show support. Total Energies is the largest shareholder in the climatologically disastrous East African venture. The project is set to carry crude oil to the Tanzanian coast through several protected nature reserves in Uganda. Now, a group of Ugandan citizens and aid groups, joined by French aid organisers, have filed a lawsuit in a Paris court against Total Energies for damages over the alleged human rights violations. Campaign group Oil Change International has calculated that Total Energies' planned expansions would lead to over 1,600 million tonnes of carbon dioxide pollution over their lifetimes if the project's oil and gas reserves are fully extracted and burned. Total Energies are doubling down on plans for another of its carbon bomb projects. Carbon bombs are projects that create vast carbon dioxide emissions over 1 billion tonnes during their lifetime. The company appears, for example, to be taking steps to restart its controversial Mozambique liquefied natural gas or LNG project. Total Energies' LNG project has had devastating impacts on the region's communities. Expanding LNG projects will cost communities through the Global South heavily. Meanwhile, it will do little to help those same communities out of energy poverty. A publication by a coalition of environmental non-profits laid out how the Mozambique LNG and 2 other foreign multinational LNG projects have harmed communities. The report suggested that the fossil fuel companies' actions increased the risk of a violent insurgency that occurred in 2017. The arrival of rich international companies, hordes of foreign workers, and military forces to guard the oil companies' operations created the perfect breeding ground for an insurgency. Additionally, the report also estimated that if the gas reserves there are fully extracted and burned, they will generate more than 4.6 billion tonnes of CO2, an amount 13 times as big as the annual greenhouse gas emissions of France. Total Energies and other companies such as Exxon, Chevron, BP and Shell have been backed by the G7. The G7's policies have already enabled fossil fuel majors to begin developing new liquid natural gas production capacity in Africa. Specifically, Total Energies' LNG project in Mozambique received 11.65 billion from 4 nations in the G7. The G7 is using the global financial and trade systems it put in place to subordinate the Global South to its needs once again. This is nothing short of energy colonialism. Global North nations have long subjected indigenous communities to the crimes of colonialism. Today, this manifests through global capitalist systems. Specifically, the rich of the Global North still strip resources from the Global South to feed their profit margins and furnish their wealth. Of course, they do so now with no greater regard for the lives of indigenous peoples than they did then. The fight against fossil fuel companies and financiers is part of the ongoing struggle against colonialism past and present. Crucially, to end the climate crisis, we must dismantle the system that started it and continues to fuel it. And, importantly, we must also build systems with the rights of indigenous peoples and marginalized communities at their hearts.